Well, Donald Trump last night sharing with Matt Lauer, our colleague, what he learned from his classified intelligence briefings. Here's some of what he said.
Did anything in that briefing, without going into specifics, shock or alarm you?
Yes.
Did you learn new things?
First of all, I had great respect for the people that gave us the briefings. They were terrific people. They were experts on Iraq and Iran and different parts of and Russia. But yes, there was one thing that shocked me, and it just seems to me that what they said, President Obama and Hillary Clinton and John Kerry, who is another total disaster, did exactly the opposite. What I did learn is that our leadership, Barack Obama, did not follow what our experts and our truly, when they call it intelligence, it's there for a reason, what our experts said to do.
Now is the top Democrat on the House Intelligence Committee. That is the California Congressman Adam Schiff, who happens to have just attended a classified intelligence briefing. Congressman, just very quickly from you in simple terms, Hillary Clinton said those comments were, quote, totally inappropriate and undisciplined. How do you cast in language based on what you hear privately, what you make of what Donald Trump said publicly last night?
Well, I think Secretary Clinton was being very diplomatic. I think what Donald Trump had to say is pure baloney. I've been to probably hundreds of intelligence briefings over the last decade. I've never had intelligence officials disagree with the commander-in-chief, express policy disagreements. That's not their job. That's not what they do. In fact, ruthless in not making policy prescriptions, but rather telling us this is what our intelligence shows, this is what we anticipate, this is what we think of the motives and intentions of our adversaries. And one thing else that was very clear from Trump's comments, and that is he obviously didn't learn anything from this briefing, and certainly not about Russia, to be praising Putin over our president. What has happened to the party of Ronald Reagan that you would have its standard bearer praising the Russian leader over our own president? It's really quite appalling, and obviously nothing that was said to him about Russia seems to have sunk in.
And one of Trump's top advisors, the Lieutenant General Michael Flynn, was at that briefing. He went about a step further than Trump did this morning on the Today Show. I want to play some of that for our audience.
The intelligence that we've received in the last two briefings were in stark contrast to the policy decisions that are being made.
That's you coming up with that deduction. In the briefing, did they look and say something and then look at him like, you know, this or this?
Yeah, they would say, the intelligence professionals, as they should, they would say, well, those are policy decisions. So Donald Trump, in a very, very sophisticated way, was asking tough questions, and they would back off and say, that is not our job. Those are policy decisions that, in this case, the White House is making. And we would sit there and go, okay, we understand.
And we should add that NBC News today has new reporting that, according to three people familiar with this matter, Lieutenant General Michael Flynn, who we just heard from, interrupted intelligence officials at a recent briefing alongside Donald Trump so many times that, according to these sources, Governor Chris Christie, also in the room, had to intervene. Is Flynn someone, Lieutenant General Flynn, someone that should be advising Donald Trump so closely?
Well, listen, I can't answer that. That's for Donald Trump to decide who wants to advise him. But I am concerned that here is someone who appears regularly, I guess, on Russian TV. That is General Flynn, who was invited to a gala to sit next to Putin. And obviously is not willing to confront Putin himself, not willing to talk about Russia's nefarious actions in the United States, around the world. And that deeply concerns me. Why is it that there is this cadre of people around Trump and Trump himself that find the Russian autocrat so praiseworthy, given all the maleficent conduct of Russia around the world? It's very striking, it's very concerning, and that he would be getting advice on these issues from people with those connections to Russia ought to concern all Americans.
In real terms, what are the risks here beyond potentially alienating the intelligence community, which publicly said that it has no comment on Donald Trump's comments about those briefings today? But what is at stake here?
Well, you know, I said this before the briefings began when I was asked whether Trump should be briefed. I said that he should. The question is not so much whether he should be briefed as to whether it would do any good. And I think we can tell from his comments now it hasn't done any good. He doesn't understand the role of the intelligence professionals.
After what he said, do you feel comfortable that he should continue to be briefed?
You know, I don't think, frankly, the administration has any choice but to brief both candidates. But I'm sure that the briefings that he is getting are at such a high level of generality as not to compromise any potential source or method. So I would be surprised if he's getting much more than what you can tune in and see on TV any day of the week that's unclassified, because I don't think he can be trusted with information. He certainly has demonstrated in his recount of these meetings and distortion of them, he can't be trusted to give an accurate reading of what he's learning anyway.
Congressman Schiff, it's always a pleasure to have you. Thanks for your time. I appreciate it very much.